If you're a Mac user who cares about visuals, you've probably coveted the Apple Studio display. But in 2025, you finally have real alternatives. Samsung, ASUS, BenQ, or even the unknown Kuycon have stepped up with their own 5K displays that challenge Apple's premium monitor in design, performance, and price. So let's dive right into how these displays compare, starting with how they look and feel on your desk. When it comes to physical design, the Studio display is still the gold standard. The unibody aluminum construction is unmatched. It feels like something out of a spaceship, and the hinge on the height adjustable stand is so smooth you can literally move it with your pinky. It's the kind of design that just makes you feel good just by looking at it on your desk. Samsung tries to match the aesthetic with the ViewFinity S9. From a distance, it looks nice, but up close, it's mostly plastic, and when you start adjusting the stand, it creaks like an old pirate ship. Plus, it ships with a massive power brick and a cord that's too short, and it's difficult to place. ASUS and BenQ land somewhere in the middle. They look clean, functional, and professional. Nothing flashy, but they're not winning any design awards either. They both have a bit of a chin, and BenQ's frame leaves an annoying gap around the bezels that is a good place for dust to retire. The dark horse here is the Kuycon. Yes, the name sounds like a knockoff Transformer character, but the G27P display is actually impressive. It mimics the Studio display's design surprisingly well. Full aluminum frame, uniform bezels, and chamfered edges around the cable management hole. It doesn't have Apple's seamless unibody design, but it's a big step up from the plastic parade in the rest of the lineup. As far as the stands themselves are concerned, Apple gives you 3 options: tilt, height and tilt, or a VESA mount. I already mentioned that the height adjustable stand is absurdly smooth and makes micro adjustments effortless. But if you want a VESA mount on the Studio display, you actually need to order it that way and without a stand. Samsung's stand offers full rotation and height adjustment, but the motion is stiff and uneven, and the power cord can easily get caught and pulled out during an adjustment. ASUS and BenQ offer stands that get the job done. They tilt, swivel, rotate, and lift up and down. BenQ's stand, though, is very sturdy. Kuycon's stand is one of the best in the group. It adjusts height, tilt, and rotates 90 degrees. It's solid, doesn't wobble, and stays where you put it. If you prefer to use a VESA stand or arm, all of the non-Apple displays can be used out of the box with a VESA mount or stand. Now, I want to get to the ports and the display itself, but first, this is the UGREEN Nexode 500-watt desktop charger. It has 5 USB-C ports and 1 USB-A port that can power all of your devices at up to 240 watts with power delivery 3.1. That's fast enough to charge a 16-inch MacBook Pro all the way up to 60% in just 30 minutes. This 500-watt desktop charger can power 6 devices at once using all of the ports, but it can fast charge 5 laptops at the same time. You can do away with the ugly power strips and multiple charging adapters and cables and replace them with the single powerful Nexode 500-watt charger for a cleaner, less cluttered workspace. This is the world's first 500-watt GaN desktop charger, and it's packed with 6 upgraded GaN Infinity chips inside that offer up to 95% efficiency, making this charger extremely efficient but also safe. There are 11 levels of safety protection built in for you and your devices, including overcurrent, overvoltage, short circuit, over temperature protection, and more. So you can be sure that your devices will charge safely and efficiently. So if you want to check out the UGREEN Nexode 500-watt desktop charger, you can save by using the links and the codes in the description below. And my thanks to UGREEN for sponsoring this video. Now, let's see how these 5K displays compare with ports and connectivity. Here's where this Studio display lags a bit. Apple gives you a single Thunderbolt 3 input port, which provides 96 watts of power to your MacBook, and 3 downstream USB-C ports that support up to 10 gigabits for accessories. That's it. There's no HDMI, no DisplayPort, and no other way to use it with anything other than USB-C or Thunderbolt without an adapter. This setup is sleek, but restrictive. The BENQ PD2730S goes all in on connectivity. You get 2 Thunderbolt 4 ports, 1 for connecting your computer, 1 for daisy chaining another display or a Thunderbolt device, along with HDMI, DisplayPort, USB-C, and multiple USB-A ports. It also includes a headphone jack, and it provides up to 90 watts of power through the Thunderbolt port. The ASUS PA27JCV offers USB-C with 96 watts of charging power, along with HDMI and DisplayPort. It also includes an additional USB-C port for data and a few other USB-A ports, though they're limited to just 5 gigabits per second. Like the BenQ, the ASUS supports KVM switching between 2 devices, and it has a headphone jack as well. The ASUS lacks Thunderbolt, but it does cover the basics well. The Samsung ViewFinity S9 is a bit of an oddball. It includes Thunderbolt 4 with 90 watts of charging, there's 3 USB-C ports and a mini DisplayPort, but it lacks HDMI and full-size DisplayPort, which might limit flexibility depending on your setup. Now, the Kuycon G27P is surprisingly versatile. It has a USB-C port for display input, HDMI, and DisplayPort. It also includes 2 USB-A ports and a headphone jack on the side. However, the USB-A ports are limited to just USB 2.0 speeds, so again, basically just for mice or keyboard dongles. Now, let's talk about the display panels themselves. I'm going to look at 5 areas: glossy versus matte, brightness, color accuracy, backlight consistency, and refresh rate. The Studio Display and the Kuycon G27P both use glossy panels. These deliver rich contrast, vibrant colors, and a sense of depth that matte panels just sometimes dull out. But they also reflect more light, which could be a problem depending on your lighting setup, and the Kuycon is noticeably more reflective than the Studio Display. Samsung, ASUS, and BenQ all use matte finishes. Samsung's is a nano texture style matte that resists reflections pretty well. BenQ's matte coating is excellent, minimizing glare without making the screen look too grainy. ASUS's anti-glare is decent, but shows slight rainbow artifacts in lighter backgrounds. When it comes to display brightness, my Studio Display measured 570 nits of brightness, which is more than enough for any normal use. The Kuycon actually beat everyone with a measured peak of 704 nits. Samsung also reached nearly 600 nits, while ASUS and BenQ generally hovered around 400 to 500 nits, depending on user settings. The ASUS display dims quite a bit as you move towards the edges as part of the matte coating, and BenQ's higher brightness is only unlocked when you disable uniformity mode. As far as color accuracy, I've spent a lot of time calibrating and testing each of these displays. And instead of going into all of that here, which I've done in previous videos, I'm just going to say that they're all really good with very high P3 colors and very good overall Adobe RGB. When you start trying to nitpick the actual differences in the color accuracy between these displays, you're just wasting time. Whether you're a consumer, a prosumer, or a creator, you're going to be happy with the color on every one of these 5K displays. When it comes to backlight consistency, the Studio Display wins. Its panel has excellent uniformity with minimal light bleed, and the BenQ is pretty solid too. The Kuycon looks good to the eye, but under testing shows a 29% variation in brightness from corner to corner, which is a big shift. Both ASUS and Samsung suffered from backlight bleed that was in areas that was really distracting when trying to watch letterboxed videos. And no backlit LCD panel is going to be perfect, it's just kind of luck of the draw. It's going to be different between different brands and different models. But if backlight bleed is something that can really annoy you, then I would probably stick to Apple or BenQ because they seem to have better consistency. And now the refresh rate. This one's easy. Basically, all these displays are 60 Hz displays, which is standard for content creation and office work. But the Kuycon actually pulls ahead slightly with the 75 Hz panel. It's not a gaming display, but animations and scrolling are ever so slightly smoother than 60 Hz. If you've been spoiled by ProMotion, this won't blow your mind, but it's a nice little addition for the Kuycon. Okay, outside of display performance, how do these displays integrate with macOS? And this is where the Studio Display leaves everyone kind of in the dust. You get True Tone, automatic brightness, and system-level volume and brightness control with the keyboard. It's seamless. BenQ tries to replicate this with the Display Pilot software, and with the right setup, you can control brightness and volume with the keyboard. The others make you fiddle around with buttons or a remote, but you can actually install a free utility called Monitor Control that you can use to adjust the brightness of any of these displays from the Mac keyboard. As far as multimedia features, Apple Studio Display includes a 6-speaker system with force-canceling woofers, spatial audio, and a surprisingly rich sound. Honestly, the speakers in the Studio Display are better than they should be, and most users probably won't need external speakers. Everyone else? Well, they're gonna want something. Samsung speakers are rear-firing and thin. ASUS and BenQ sound like they're coming from inside of a cereal box. And the Kuycon doesn't even try, there's no speakers at all. Webcams? Well, the Studio Display's 1080p camera and microphones are mediocre but usable. Samsung has a detachable 4K webcam that underwhelms, and BenQ and ASUS and Kuycon don't include one at all. And what else is there? Samsung tries to be a smart display with apps and AirPlay and a gaming hub. It's a cool party trick, but honestly, it's just better and easier to use your Mac. BenQ focuses on pro features like color calibration tools and presets, and dual device support with a KVM switch. ASUS has a similar KVM functionality, and Kuycon throws in the remote and 75 Hz refresh rate. Okay, so bells and whistles and features and design aside, let's get into what really matters for most people, which is how much you're actually going to pay for these things. Here's the breakdown. The Studio Display MSRP is $1,599. However, it is very frequently on sale at places like Amazon, B&H, or Best Buy for around $1,299, which is a good $300 discount. Of course, that is the tilt version only, not the height and tilt version, which is an extra $400, and that one's harder to find on sale. The BENQ PD2730S had a launch price of $1,199, which was approaching Studio Display pricing, But now because of tariffs in this world, the price is about $1,499, making it really hard to justify. The ASUS PA27JCV had a launch price of $799, making it the cheapest of the bunch. However, tariff pricing has drove that up to about $849. The Samsung S9 started at studio display pricing at $1,599, and you can get it right now for around $999 before the tariffs, and on sales you could even get it as low as $699, but I'm sure it'll be hard to find at that price now. And finally, the Kuycon G27P is priced at $799 for the flat back panel and $189 for the stand. However, if you bundle them together, the cost comes in just under $900. The studio display is still premium priced, but you're paying for build quality, reliability, speakers, camera, seamless integration with macOS, and support. BenQ is feature-rich but suffers from pricing due to tariffs. ASUS is the most budget-friendly but makes some pretty big compromises in the panel itself. Samsung offers big discounts, but the experience is mixed. Kuycon? It's priced similar to the ASUS, but you can get a great panel, aluminum build, and an impressive performance for under $900. The gamble with Kuycon is long-term support and warranty service, which are unclear at best. Speaking of support, Apple support is best in class. There's Apple stores everywhere. You can go take your display in and get the help you need. BenQ, ASUS, and Samsung have established processes, but maybe not as easy as Apple. So if you want the best display experience for your Mac and don't want to think about anything, the studio display is still king. It just works. It looks amazing, it sounds amazing, and it integrates seamlessly with macOS. Also, the stupid tariff pricing on the others just makes the studio display look a lot more compelling. But if you're on a budget or looking for the best value, then the Kuycon G27P shocked me. It's bright, color accurate, well built, and it's under $1,000, actually under $900. The support story is unclear, but the hardware punches way above its weight. BenQ is great for people who need color calibration tools and daisy chaining. ASUS is okay for a budget option if you just need a basic 5K panel. Samsung tries to be the jack of all trades and masters none of them. But those are the 5 real options for 5K displays in 2025. What do you guys care most about? Is it macOS integration, design, brightness, color, cost? Let me know in the comments down below. And I bet that most of you have not seen this Kuycon display before, so if you want to see more about it, check out this video right over here. Hit the thumbs up button if you liked it, hit subscribe if you want, and I'll see you next time.